down early into the game.
100%. You just have to delay the early advantage of NXP. You just have to delay the scaling of NXP. And once you keep on giving them items, it's not going to be good for you. And Omega Esports, in that latter part of the fight, was not really able to have that opportunity to even make a comeback play because of their draft, right? Their draft needs items. Corky, at 12 minutes into the game, only have the Infinity Edge and the Trinity Force. Well, Misfortune, mortal reminder, BRK, Infinity Edge. So just look at the contrast from these two teams. And look at the contrast of the scaling in terms of items from both of these teams. It's just super massive of a difference.
Indeed, massive difference. And I'm not so sure. I really feel like that game is being eyed by Omega to be pushed towards a 1-1.
Uh-huh.
But if that is shut it down, I hope Omega is capable of resetting and putting in the proper mindset into the game of how can they stop NXP because they've already denied Joshi with the Lucy. They've already denied him with a Vi. Can they do some very tunnel vision focus in terms of drop? For example, will they like fully deny everything against Joshi now that Omega is, I think, on the blue side? That could be one. They have the first pick advantage for that part.
Yo, Kishan, can you add me to the lobby?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I do agree. I think Omega Esports wanted to play that late, considering that they picked up Ziggs as well, and I think they were really just hoping for a backdoor if the opportunity came up. But the problem here is when you're talking about late game, you need to just play defensively earlier to the matchup so that your enemy team would not have the advantage of just putting down the fight, the team, the gameplay, right? And I think Omega Esports just lost that early game, just restricted them to play into the late game.
Yeah, and just sharing the just sharing the live stream for game number 3. This is a best of 5, by the way. So it's clear match point here for NXP. And NXP, all they need to do is just to build the composition, which is in Tagalog pang lasso. Because this technically like best of 1 already for them.
Yeah. I added your account, Christian.
On Wild Rift?
Yeah. In my dummy also.
Okay. You're using dummy on an emulator, ah?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so game number 3. But I don't even know if we're gonna have game number 5 at this point with the dominating fights from the first 2 games. But you know what? I'm hoping for that to happen.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Imagine the story of a 2-0, then right up there came up with a streak of a win for Omega Esports. That's just a huge story for their team.
Yep. Let's see, ladies and gentlemen, what will happen for this running game. And I really want to evaluate. What can be the adjustments. But I've seen everything. I've seen all the possible options right now for Omega. Unless, I mean, they even pulled up the Z on a rise. Strong picks were given towards Omega in that game number 1, even on game number 2. I think if if OMG wants to really get back into the game, there should be some sort of a gamble or a one-dimensional composition needed onto the side of NXP. But I think NXP is really out for revenge and really want to seal the deal. Because right now, if we're counting for victories, they're technically equal. 2-2 on the running score. 2 defeats onto the side of NXP against OMG. Now, OMG is also sitting in 2 defeats against NXP. And right after this tournament, that is only the time that one team has more wins compared to the other. If my count is correct. Again, guys, what I'm counting for is the number of tournaments that they have faced. Just to review the history of these two teams, it's sitting at 2-2. Okay, 2-2. By the way, guys, do share the stream. Alright? If you haven't yet, please do share the stream. Right now, I'm not so sure. I think our chat is getting more and more intense. If you're so passionate in promoting your team, and with the words that you guys are saying in the chat, all I ask is that make sure more people watch or see your comments. So be sure to share the stream. Take a screenshot of the stream and of course share the live stream links on your friends, on everyone. So that, before you can be aggressive on the comments, at least many people can see it. All right, it's a win-win
Uh-huh.
situation. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, this is just a testimony of the Wild Rift for esports scene in PH, and we're at the tippity top of that mountain of climbing over, right? So, really, share the stream, guys. It's gonna be a big of a help, and we're just starting Wild Rift ESPN with a big, big, big game.
Let's see. Let's see. We're waiting out for our players to get into the game, ladies and gentlemen. And man, maybe they can start on the Dragon Lane.
Dragon Lord.
Maybe OMG can start looking towards the Dragon Lane and snowballing the Dragon Lane. Maybe it's about time for time lapse because time lapse has been choosing not really on the hyper carry end of the ADC picks. He has chosen
Yeah.
Jin
Yeah.
for bullets. He has chosen Ziggs. That's Ziggs, right? Maybe it's about time if even time lapse would roll something like
I saw.
a misfortune, a Kaisa, something like that. Now we have the bands rolling Aurelion Sol, Sage, Lulu, and Graves.
Oh. Ah. Hmm. Asol, Singe, Lulu, Graves. The Olaf is open for Omega Esports. They're the first pick, right? Singe, Graves, Lulu, Asol. Misfortune is open. Alistar is open. I don't know what Omega Esports is gonna prioritize, but their hyper champions is available for them to use. So I'm expecting an Alistar or an Olaf priority at this game number 3.
Story here, man. All three games,
Uh huh.
Sage is banned.
Yeah, they don't want to deal
Right.
with that Singe. Yeah. Because I think that Surge is just annoying. With the knockouts, with the zoning capabilities, but actually very surprising. Shenbu, I am mistaken. Omega Esports has proven me wrong. They're going in for Nakali first pick priority.
Alright, it's still the same story. This time, mirrored for by NXP. You pick up the Akali. We will. I think Akali is a very good denial still against Ryzen. But that's the story here of NXP. You pick up the Akali, we will pick Lee Sin and Alistar. And
Yeah.
honestly, I might be overhyping this, but this is a composition very similar to game number 1. Joshi will still be on his element on the Lee Sin. Remember what Lee Sin did to the Akali on game number 1? He can easily duel with the Akali by the late game because Akali will itemize more onto the damage front whereas Lee Sin can itemize defensively by the late game. Disaster is find so much success now on that Alistar. They close this series 3-0. That will just be further emphasized. Stronger here will not default onto the Janna, and I love the fact that he's chosen the Brom here. And this is it. This is what I want to look at. Time lapse on a more default ADC on the Misfortune. But the problem here is that commercial boy Uze is also really good on the gym.
Hey, you know what? Commercial buff, ad buff, Uzi. Right? But yeah, I do like your point. Misfortune now being utilized by time lapse, and also to add on to that one, you also have a Brom support. So that is a very, very dominant when it comes to a dual laner. And I think Omega Esports overall in terms of the draft are a bit of an even setup, right? You have the early game potential, you have the mid game and late game potential as well from the Misfortune and even the Zed in this matter. So I really like how Omega Esports are doing more type of traditional type of setup with a more balanced type of draft. For the side of NXP, Jin, Jin. We saw it in game number 1, I think, or game number 2, wherein if he scaled out early to the matchup, it's bye bye,
Yeah.
right? And I like also how Camille is brought up by NXP, and they picked up Gragas as well to disregard the counters. Yeah,
Here we go, guys. Potentially the final game of this series. NXP leads the series 2-0 against Omega. And right now we have a very standard lineup from NXP. We've seen this lineup before. Same goes for Omega. This is again very similar to that game number 1. It's a matter of execution. And who will be getting the fatigue first. You can actually see how Omega is very careful here. No heavy dives, no heavy invades against NXP.
yeah. I mean, it's a do or die game, right? It's the last of the last. If Omega Esports loses this game, it's not gonna be good for Omega Esports. But nevertheless, it's gonna be the first blood of Omega Esports taking the mid, taking the W in that fight. Considering that you really don't have that consistent DPS, consistent damage from Chili, from a Gragas, while NXP has those shurikens, has the consistent damage up and running for themselves, thus producing the first blood kill from their team, now putting them at a 500 gold lead.
Indeed, man. 1-0. 4.7, 4.3k still only just the first blood indeed for Arise here. But the thing here is that that's still Gragas, and the strength of the Gragas, as long as you get your level 5, we still have options and freedom to actually win team fights. It's a matter of just how good you place your explosive gas. NXP still at it with their rotation. They're gonna be faster compared to Omega in completing the push on an outer turret. Of course, the Arisen here cannot do anything on contesting also the mirror done by Omega.
Mm-hmm. And NXP, considering that they are first into going to pressure that bottom lane turret, they're gonna take it first, which means they're gonna take that tower first blood, which now puts them at an even level playing field when it comes to the gold lead. But nevertheless, Omega Esports still has the opportunity to go for that trade-off into the top lane, which puts them at a bit of an advantage right now against NXP. But NXP is continuing the pressure, not traditional that we have seen them punish the tier 2 turret, but they're now going back.
Indeed. Alright. I'm actually trying to spot up what are the possible engages here, because obviously the next trade, the Infinity, if you want to anticipate it, it would be onto the bottom lane and the Baron lane once again. But this time mirrored to the side of NXP and Omega. But if that happens, I think members of Omega will be in the position to actually rotate quickly onto the Baron. But rather what NXP did is they anticipated the rotation of a solo Akali going into that Dragon lane. I'm very curious actually why she's there. It's a little bit too early. But, Joshi here, he is the big bane against Akali of JLC.
Mm-hmm. And considering that Alistar actually went for the sweeping ward as well earlier, actually just placed Akali in a very bad situation wherein his occasion is always known for
Yep.
the side of NXP. But yeah,
Yeah,
that
and
first.
even the Tempest, even the third skill of
Mm-hmm,
Lee Sin. That's why
mm-hmm,
Josh is really good against the Akali of
Akali.
JLC.
Yeah, and that first blood, that early kills, that early advantage puts Jin and Lee Sin in a good position. They're now having the Yumu skills played against Omega Esports.
Here we go. NXP is now going to actually have their Lee Sin be into the front, into the top lane side. You can actually see how Arisen is shoving the minion waves, going closer and closer to that. Omega, like I said, we will be going onto the bottom lane outer turret to go for that quick push. 3 man is sent already, and they're in the position to take the Drake. And yeah, it's an overall trade, but look at that. Team NXP will just try to complete this push with 2 members, and they will have 3 members trying to contest this turret or even maybe this Drake.
Uh-huh. And considering that Lee Sin is so far away, Camille is so far away, Omega Esports is gonna get that first hold onto the Dragon's Pit, but Lee Sin is fast approaching. They're now clearing the mid lane to pressure in that tier 3 turret as well into the mid side. Now NXP is now dominating the Dragon's Pit with Omega Esports forced back away for now. It's gonna be an exciting fight. NXP is currently waiting into the bush, waiting for Omega Esports to make a mistake.
Core items available for the side here. Actually, for Omega, there is 3 core items because members here of NXP didn't do their reset. And I think Omega reads through the item advantage on this one. I think they sense the reset on 1 member. Didn't saw that on the Gragas, but already closing in near the Mountain Drake. Even Joshi here is also going for his own reset. And Omega, they don't know this. And that's why they cannot capitalize. This could have been a nice downtime for them to actually start onto the Mountain Drake. But this time, look at the items now. Both with 2 core items plus a Leandrix. This time with the difference of the Humus Ghostblade here for the Misfortune. This is a team fight blooming in and will definitely be so explosive. Trinity Force available for Arisen.
Core items are coming through, baby. Let's go. But
Yep.
Vi still doesn't have any. No, you know what? You know what? He heard me. He heard me. He went in for the Humus Ghostblade after I stated that he doesn't still have his core items up and running. But Mountain Drake is still not going to be prioritized by NMD teams right now as they are looking to be safe. They're looking for a safe play, and I do think after a kill, that's where gonna be the objectives are going to come through.
You can really learn a lot from pro play here. The standard, the items, the pacing that they have done. But Joshi once again step ups. 3 forward coming in from disaster. That is big. It allows for Joshi to clean up the JLC. He knows the place that needs to be done. And OMG, they know the kill that needs to be completed. But of course, NXP will go to at least counter it. And yeah, so they're going to arise. Not going to be completing that. Uzi goes for the chase. And Omega takes the win with a 5 against 3.
It's the ace. It's the win. It's the wipeout. It's gonna be Omega Esports going for the tier 3 turret. I think NXP was just going into deep into that mountain break, and considering that, you know what, we have all core items already for the set of Omega Esports, they're really just matched up in terms of those items. And as you've stated, the Glacial Fissure, the AoE setups from Omega Esports just completely just puts them at a very good spot.
Watch out, man. Of course, NXP, because of the reset that needs to be done after the lead on that Drake, they quickly rotated, of course, for the Herald. Omega here, lots of damage gonna be mitigated by Stronger. Stronger is trapped. No contention from JLC, but remember here, I think of NXP is overstaying. Camille is done. Joshi is also attempting to go for the kick. And no trust, but a bullet will connect onto time-lapse. JLC, can he re-enter this? He needs one shuriken flip. Assault and battery completes, but of course they use the explosive gas to peel. Not gonna be enough. It's an overall trade of a 4 for 2.
Omega Esports is better, is faster, is stronger when it comes to individual ganks, individual pickoffs. And NXP was split up in that fight, I can tell you. And that they are killed of 4 kills. Or 4 kills? 3 kills. In that fight, which just puts
kills.
them just a bad spot when it comes to this certain situation in the game. Because Omega Esports already got the advantage of the matchup.
But NXP is faster. Here's the thing, NXP is always faster when it comes to the head, when it comes to the gap, that mark, and of course you can actually see Arise just in time to actually fall back from that Hextech ultimatum with the dive as he escapes here using the that mark, and a disaster, a total disaster as you see the 2 corps of his teammates make him that 3, and I think that's it. This establishes the lead, 5K, 4K, on the gold lead of Omega.
Yeah, Alistar didn't have a chance in that fight. Yeah. There's no items. Like, you have the armor, you have the HP, but when you're talking about, like, massive damage coming in from side of Omega Esports, you're just gonna get melted by Misfortune, by the Nakali, and even the Vi. And as I've stated, Omega Esports is better off with pickoffs. NXP should respect that position. Because they have Degen, you have the Camille, you have Alistar and Gragas to set it all off.
Yeah.
But when you're at a disadvantage and Alistar and Gragas are not in a position to go for the setup, you're gonna have a difficult time against Omega Esports.
And anyway, guys, again, I ask all of our viewers who's watching right now, later we'll be rolling some shoutouts, you know, so that we can change the running discussion onto the chat. But maybe you can share the stream. I think it makes a lot of sense for you to share the stream. If you are really that passionate to cheer for your teams, I think you should just share the stream. Show your support. I mean, arguing there won't really help the teams, but if you help them with their exposure for this tournament, then it would mean a lot for them. If you haven't shared the stream yet, take a screenshot of this live stream. Tell them what's up, what's happening. NXP leading this game 2-0. Omega leading the series 2-0. Omega leading this game with a 3-6 with a whooping, actually not really whooping, but 6,000 gold lead, sizable gold lead. And share it on your live stream. Share it on your personal profiles. Put in the link. Share it to your GCs. Share it to your teammates. Share it to your squads who you usually play with when it comes to Wild Rift.
Yeah, and speaking of what's happening right now, it's gonna be the Cloud Drake available in this fight. NXP is dominating when it comes to the round spin. Omega Esports want to contest this. They're going in for the backlines. It's gonna be Vi waiting into the side lane. Goes for the dash. It's gonna be the steal. It's gonna be the impressive. Trying to go for that smite and taking it home for the Cloud Drake.
He didn't complete that one. Of course, he focuses towards the Jin. He doesn't stop. Maybe because they need to stop at least the recall here of NXP. But they don't want to dive in way too deep. It is already complete. The turret taken in by Arise. El Clasico Le por 1 by Omega. And you can also see one by one members here of Omega collapsing towards the Baron. But they have the vision. There is no sweeping. Where is the sweeping? It's also on cooldown. And Impressive is not using it. They have a clear vision. You get the steal on the Drake. We will get a steal on the Baron. And there's an extra activation. Who will go down? It's still gonna be on the side of OMG. And let's see here as members of NXP tries to clean up, or maybe not. They're gonna be the ones who will be cleaned up. And that's it. Drake plus Baron plus skills. It's OMG.
You know what? Lee Sin actually dived into the Baron's pit without a smite. How could he potentially even steal that? And I think I just noticed it backlid, back positioning, and I laughed because of the type of situation that was happening, right? It was too close, and it was all over the place. If you've seen it, Omega Esports was like backing away a bit. The two members were on top of the hill. Like, it was all over the place, but Omega Esports took a dub, took a win with the smite of Impressive, taking the Baron home for their team.
Ladies and gentlemen, 76 for this running game. 16,000 on the gold lead. Ladies and gentlemen, established here by Omega. And now, they're going to be eyeing doing a 1-2-2 config here. JLC in a very dangerous situation. This is so bad.
Oh, the Hexic Ultimatum.
He's just gonna be cleaning up. Extra Ultimatum casted towards JLC. He tries to survive using that classic Proto Belt. Perfect execution, escape, and he's still able to survive indeed. But what is the trade? Members here of Omega along with the Baron Buff, they're gonna be moving forward. This bottom lane inhibitor turret. Very nice explosive cast there by Chuli to at least get the wave clear. And no inhibitors will be taken here by OMG yet.
Very smart bait coming in from the Kali. That forces out 3 members of NXP to go to the top lane. And that, we have Arise just slowly getting turrets. And successfully actually taking the tier 2 turret as well. But now we have Zed. Massive damage.
Yes, and the massive damage, you don't have to get the kill, only need to dispel the damage down. And you know what else is taken down? Inhibitor turret down at the mid lane side. Here's the 17-6. Here's the convergence as well. The Baron is still empowering the minion waves. But of course, Team Omega will be wiser. They won't want to run the risk of forcing things out. They will go for the reset happy with an inhibitor take.
Yeah, I mean, that's smarter, right? They have a lot of gold from the tier 2 turret into the Baron lane. I mean, the Dragon lane, rather. The tier 2 turret into the mid lane. The inhibitor turret as well. So they have a lot of gold in their hands. So might as well go for a reset for now. We need to utilize this gold. We need to utilize this advantage against NXP. Because if we don't, NXP has the opening, has the breed time to actually make a combat play. So smart move coming in from Mega Esports.
Smart indeed. We have a 15,000 gold lead for the side here of Omega. 45 seconds onto the timers of the Baron. 30 seconds onto the timers of an Infernal. Take note that that is still a normal Infernal. Will that be the point of contention that NXP needs to capitalize and turn things around against NXP? Look at the tail of the tape here. Right now, the misfortune is paying dividends. For the side here of Omega. I really believe the misfortune is really a nice pick up compared to the Ziggs earlier, compared to the Jin, who's really difficult to pull up in this high level play because you'll always be zoned out. The reload time in this highest level of play is so important. Those time that you're reloading, it is always so important compared to the Misfortune who doesn't need to reload. Infinite bullets on Misfortune. Actually, she has an excess of bullets. Told to me by one armor dealer in Bilgewater that she uses it and wastes it on bullet time.
You know what, Rinbo? Look at the wards right now of Omega Esports. They're just wanting to secure that information. Yep. They just want to get those space checks for their team. And I think they're having that advantage right now. Because you have a Braum to defend in terms of a fight. You have the Vi to go for that single targeted pick. So that sweeping wards are going to be very, very impressive for the side of Omega Esports. And considering that objectives are now available in this map. But nevertheless, they're looking at close to lock items for that Misfortune, and a lot of items advantage right now for them as well.
And look at this Infinity. Omega is not turning up the vision. Right after they've actually spread all the vision for the Infernal earlier, everyone swapped to sweeping because they know they need to do the campaign on the Baron, and for sure there are a lot of visions there established by NXP. Omega here is still not letting up, still at it with their game, and they still want to deliver here because they have the lead, and it would be very disastrous to lose this one.
Now Zed split pushes into the Baron lane, or Dragon lane rather. Now that forces that Camille to just stay put in that
They will
lane.
start.
Jin
Yeah.
and that Gragas is staying in the mid lane as Lee Sin actually knows, has a feeling that Omega Esports is now hovering to the Baron lane. That skill shot is gonna connect onto that Baron, knowing that Baron is not gonna be contested or initiated by Omega Esports, but
Oh,
we might expect it soon. It's gonna be
oh,
very exciting as the top lane. We have a
oh.
Kali.
Yeah, very dangerous. Stronger going for the cut. They want to commit fully onto the Joshi. Teleport is coming in. But Arise still has the minion wave down at the bot. And of course, they will peel out.
Oh
They will
no!
quickly rotate for Arise. Arise would still be able to get. Maybe he did receive the explosive gas. He's very much willing to use the death mark. He will burn through minion wave 67 on the
Oh!
health of the turn. He also killed the Gragas. That's 4v5 overall on the map. This is OMG's pressure to establish.
It's not something you wanted. Baron Nashor is available for Mega Esports. Having that one member disadvantage is not exactly what you want in this fight. And considering that one inhibitor turret is already open to the mid lane, you might expect 1v1 situation to pressure in all lanes, wherein NXP is gonna be split up. So they need to think on what they're gonna do, as 20 seconds is still remaining for Chili to go and respond in this fight.
Engaged there by Joshi against JLC. The thing here is that JLC already has his own proto belt available, so it's very easy for Akali to escape any aggression that can come from Joshi. And Joshi here, that mark all in, he knows he can burn. Wait for the stasis, a few timers to actually buy against Joshi. But look at that, even OMG with few members, even without having time lapse join the party, they're able to take an inhibitor chariot. And Joshi here is just staying down for the back line. No opportunity to actually flanking and getting the kickback against Omega. Only one inhibitor remains
Wait,
for
top
the side here of Team NXP. This is the final team fight, Infinity.
It's gonna be Braum over into the sidelines, going in with a glacial fissure. It's gonna be the Camille actually pinned down by the enemy team with the dash away, actually connecting into the base. Now safe, but it's still not gonna be the end. It's Misfortune going for the bullet time, not connecting, but the massive amount of damage. Just laying that the GA has gonna be popped. It's not gonna be enough as Omega Esports is gonna game number 3 into this fight. It's 2-1 of NXP.
For ladies and gentlemen, but still NXP is at it. This still sits at 2-1. The series is getting more and more heated. And I got but feel that I'm actually having difficulty in tracing back where the lead was established. But for the most part, it got Seeker onto the split push available from Arise. It's just very hard to deal with Arise. Not to mention, there's just so many attempts on killing Arise, and Arise knows the formula on how to escape on a Z. He doesn't even worry about the Hextech Ultimatum.
Yeah. I think the switch here is the early game. Right? When Gragas was laid early into the matchup, by Omega Esports, they translated it into more kills. So I think it was like 2 kills already earlier into the matchup. And they translated it further into the Dragon. They got 2 turrets in the process from top lane and bot lane. And NXP was having a hard time to counteract this positioning for Omega Esports. And yes, they got a couple of kills into the mid game wherein they were fighting against Omega Esports. They were getting those pick-offs onto that Kali. But Omega Esports, I think, did a good job in terms of baiting. Like, Akali was baiting top. But Zed was pushing bot lane. The rest was pushing mid lane. They got 2 tier 2 turrets. Then, Akali was not even killed from the 3-man roam from NXP.
Yes,
So,
yes.
NXP was then forced to go back into the bottom lane to try and defend. And with everyone into the bottom lane, they were pushing mid lane from Omega Esports. They got the inhibitor turret. Now the base was open. They have a hard time to just punish, counteract. And I see the trend here. The early game is going to be the name of the game for game number 4.
Also, I'm gonna be doubling down on something as well, like you, Infinity. I'm putting it out there. Micro, NXP. Macro, Omega.
Yeah.
I mean, they're very close on the macro, but I think the micro of NXP is really superior in terms, I really, it's very difficult to see games who were in NXP has difficulty in executing whatever they are planning, especially if they are the aggressor. But but when it comes to macro, they're very close. NXP also has their fair share of macro, but it's just Omega. They do it way better in terms of historically compared to other teams.
Yeah.
So yeah, for now, Now I just realized how close is this team are. How do you compare and contrast these two never-ending teams that fights always in the finals? This rivalry
Mhm.
between OMG and NXP. And the thing here is that I think OMG, one of their key strengths here is they really have a really nice macro, even when playing from behind. Even when
Mm-hmm.
playing from behind.
Yeah, it's just a methodical play from Omega Esports. They know their priorities, they know their objectives. If something happens, you need to transit to another, right? It's just that process, that step by step play style of Omega Esports is just what is very important and what makes them at a very good situation when it comes to those individual matchups against teams right now in Wild Rift.
So we're just getting into the game. Ladies and gentlemen, that's game number 4. But again, remember here, NXP has been rolling on 2 games. Game number 2 is totally one-sided in favor of NXP, and this could still be their game to take to become champion against sure Infinity against Omega. And crazy match, guys. Just to take a quick review, that is a composition very similar to game number 1. So anyway, I'd like to send a big shoutouts to all of our viewers out there. Actually, I would want to deliver some shoutouts for you, but the problem here is that we are rolling this live stream or broadcast with a sizable delay. That's the thing. So um, I may mention your shoutouts a little bit late, right before you've typed it on the chat. But so far, it is down to possibly the last 2 games or possibly last 1 game of this tournament between NXP and Omega. And if I'm not mistaken, there will be a switch. NXP will be on the blue, Omega will be on the red. The first pick advantage falls into the hands of NXP, and they may be the one to first dictate the running draft, and Omega will have to react on that, or maybe will react on that, because there is a running draft wherein you don't need to really react on your opponent's first pick or second pick. So there is that. Okay. Crazy man.
Whew.
I was just discussing that NXP here this time is on the blue side.
Yeah.
First pick advantage for NXP compared to Omega, and how the game number 3 draft
Yeah.
is very similar to game number 1.
Game number 3 draft. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just a better utilization of Omega Esports in game number 3. Uh huh.
indeed, indeed, man.
But
NXP.
I think we're tired, man. It's just the hype, the intense. We can't breathe properly. We're just sweating bullets right now. It's hype. It's hype. And you know what, viewers watching it over right now, please do share the stream. Please support your teams, Omega Esports and Nexplay Esports. It's history right here in the making.